Hello and welcome to CloudFolks HUB. My name is Bhavesh Atara. In the previous video, I explained you about ECS cluster. In this video, I'm going to explain you about cluster infrastructure. Let me explain you that from where we are getting this particular option. Right now, I am inside my ECS console and I'm going to click on Get Started. If you want to set up ECS, the first step is to create cluster. Now I'm going to click on create cluster and here I have to give cluster name and then I have two options to choose. One, AWS Fargate and Amazon EC2 instance. Now which option will be best suitable for my environment? Which option would be the better choice? You will find out all these details in this video. So let's start. As you know that as a part of cluster infrastructure, we have two options. One, Amazon EC2, we also call it self-managed infrastructure, and AWS Fargate. Here I have 12 points comparison between them. So let's start with EC2. Here, infrastructure provisioning. You launch and manage EC2 instances. Let me explain you from zero. If I want to set up high availability, I have to set up multiple Docker hosts into the same cluster, right? Now, these Docker hosts are actually EC2 instances if you choose this particular option, Amazon EC2 instance. So, it is simple, like we are going to create EC2 instance with Docker service installed, and then we are going to run container inside this Docker host. We are going to create at least two Docker hosts so they can work like a team. They can be added into the single cluster environment, right? So here, when I'm going to choose Amazon EC2 instances, simply it is EC2 instance with Docker installed and part of the cluster of ECS. If I'm going to choose Fargate, AWS provision infrastructure automatically. It is a kind of serverless service. We are not going to set up any Docker host. AWS will provide us infrastructure whenever we want to add some Docker container inside this. So it is actually not going to provision any server or Docker host. The service or infrastructure provided on demand, right? When we are going to talk about EC2, we have full control level, means we have full control over OS, instance type and storage and AMI. Look at this. Here I am going to choose Amazon EC2 instance. I can choose provision model. I want to set up on-demand instance or spot instance to save money. I can choose AMI for my EC2 instance. I can choose instance type like C2, T2 micro or C1 extra large, whatever the instance size you want to define. Okay, you can also set up your EBS volume size for your EC2 instance as well. So here we have full flexibility when we are going to use EC2 as a part of the cluster Docker host. But if I'm going to choose Fargate, we have no access of underlying OS or compute layer, right? Now you can consider it as a plus point and minus point as well. If I'm going to talk about control level over here, we have full control over OS, instance type, storage and AMI, but we have to manage all of this, right? So we have control, but we have to manage them. If I'm going to talk about over here, we have no control, and we have one another point is as well, because it is a serverless, we don't need to manage them, means it is simple to set up, right? Now, launch time. If you set up a cluster with EC2, it is going to take time because literally it is going to create multiple EC2 instances. It is going to set up Docker host. Then it is going to connect these EC2 instances with your ECS. So it will take some time. Here in the Fargate, because it is a serverless, it is going to provide infrastructure on demand. Creating this ECS cluster with Fargate option is actually quick. Then billing model, you pay for the EC2 uptime, supports on-demand sports and saving plans. Here, if I want to create EC2, I can choose my instance type. And as you know that you have to pay for the type of instance you choose, and the configuration is based on the instance type, right? So you are paying for the instances that you have created. Here, pay per vCPU and memory usage per second for each running task. So once you create ECS cluster and once you will create container, and whenever the container will utilize these resources, you are paying that actual resources in case of the Fargate, right? So it is not going to create infrastructure in advance. Whenever you will create any task or containers inside this Fargate environment, it will provide resources to that particular container, and you are paying for the resources consumption by the particular container, right? VPC selection timing. Let's say that if I am going to choose this Amazon EC2 instance, I am actually creating EC2. Literally, it is going to create EC2. So you have to select all the options that you are choosing while you are creating your EC2. For example, here I have to choose my VPC, I have to choose my subnet, I have to choose my security group, whether you need to assign automatic public IP or not. So you have to choose all the options that you are actually choosing normally when you are creating EC2 instances, right? But in the Fargate, you do not need to choose anything. Look at this. Here, I am going to select Fargate, right? It is not asking me anything. So you may have one question as well. How my containers are running without VPC? How I can access services running inside the container without VPC? What about the IP and all this, right? Here we have VPC selection required as well, but VPC selection is actually available while we are creating tasks or services, right? So once we have our cluster ready, and then we are going to create container inside this particular cluster, we need to choose VPC, right? So VPC selection is there, but when we will create task or container inside that particular cluster, we need to select this in the Fargate, okay? Now auto scaling configuration. ASG, auto scaling group, is created during cluster creation, but you manage instance and scaling policy. Now look at this. Here if I am going to choose Amazon EC2 instance, it is also going to create auto scaling group. We can choose desired capacity, we can choose minimum and maximum instance as well. We can choose size for the instance as well. So we have full control on scalability, and AWS will automatically create auto scaling group for us as well. But we can manage auto scaling policy. In case of Fargate, ECS handles the scaling for Fargate tasks automatically. So AWS will manage scalability. We don't need to worry about this, right? So this is kind of plus point we have, because AWS is managing scaling over here. Scaling flexibility based on the EC2 limits. Scale EC2 first and then task. If you have container running inside your cluster and you have EC2 as an infrastructure. Now, if you want to scale your container, you have to scale your...
Sorry to interrupt you. I know you guys are enjoying our video a lot, because our final ultimate goal is Solution Architect Certification exam. To reach the destination, we required full videos. Path number 1, our 6-in-1 program. Our 6-in-1 program include all prerequisite skills which is needed as a cloud engineer. It include 24/7 support, lifetime update, section-wise practice test, full course practice test with tips and tricks by Bhavesh Attara, how to do exam preparation course, weekly lifetime live session with Bhavesh Attara, and 6 AWS project with documents. Path number 2, you can enroll by paying 499 and get Hindi and English, both the languages, videos of AWS. The choice is yours how to create your success story by choosing best one. Best of luck. Thank you.